Hi, this is Roger. Thanks for dropping by. This is what will be a quick video, and it's kit rather than orchids, although we will have a look at a couple at the end. Those of you who watched yesterday's video, there was a text pop-up part-way through where I had a light bulb moment, and it was while I was discussing the scale on the Cymbidiums and what to do about them. You know, whether I get the alcohol spray and some some cotton buds and try and remove them and blah blah blah, or should I spray them all again? And I went, and the light bulb moment was remembering that I have a tool that kills all bugs throughout the whole grow room, including down in the media, on the staging, on the framework. It does the whole place. But it's clumsy to use. But today I was actually going to set it up and use it, and then I thought, actually Hannah's coming down for the weekend, and the knock-on effect is not so pleasant, shall we say. It's livable, but anyway, I shall go over it and how it works, because that's important. Otherwise we will get people saying you're going to poison yourself, you're going to kill your cat, and all silly things like that, because people fly off the handle without knowing the facts. So these are the facts. I have a hot box and I'd forgotten I'd got it. Well, this is a Sulfume, needs a good clean, but then it hasn't been used for 7 or 8 months. But it's a clever little device that has no moving parts, is incredibly simplistic, but it actually does the job. Now the unit itself, mains powered, and I don't even know if we can actually see it. But yes, you can see the electrodes going on there. That plate is a heat unit, thermostatically controlled to an exact temperature. So this is the plate, yeah, it's electronically heated, and it comes up to an exact temperature. And on it sits this tub of sulfur. There goes your alarm bells. Everybody knows if you burn sulfur, the fumes are incredibly toxic. They'll knock you down. They'd kill the bugs, but that's not how it works. This sits in there, nice and flat on that plate, thermostatically controlled to heat up the sulfur to its melting point and stop at that point. Nothing gets burnt. But what does happen is the fluid gives off fumes. But because of the shape of the unit, the heat is underneath that plate. The heat rises up around this tub and pulls the fumes up with the heat in a column that rises up and then disperses. So that's fundamentally how it works. I do have some spare sulfur crystals over here that came with it. I haven't used them all yet, but it works on the principle that you do as you're told. So it has to be carefully placed, obeying all the rules. Now the rules are, it must have at least a metre clearance above it. Otherwise this column effect doesn't work. So if the roof was here, it wouldn't work properly. So it's got to be hung, yeah, so that it can take air in, the column effect can work and disperse the fumes, and the sulfur has to be up to that line. If it's too shallow, it might get a bit too hot. It still wouldn't burn, but it might boil. And if it's too full, it might not even reach the melting point. So there's a lot of preciseness in this, even though it's incredibly simple. So what I do is I fix a wire up with these hooks that you can see there by the top of that plant. Those hook over the link, so I put a hook over there on that side, another one over there on that side, and attach a wire, piece of bonsai wire, which is in there all folded up. It's all ready to go from last year. The hooks are even on the end of it. So the wire goes across so that the unit can hang freely a metre below the ceiling, which is about here, so sort of at eye level. Yeah? And then it needs at least 4 hours for an initial dose, basically, geared up to the volume of air in here, which is quite large. You know, the actual cubic meters of air in this unit is quite high. I think it's 4 by 3, something like that, by 2 high. You can do the maths. Those are not exact measurements either. But yeah, so there's a lot of air to fill, so it has to be on for at least 4 hours. And it works best in a sealed unit. Well, it's double glazed, the windows shut and the doors shut. There's that flipping rat again. Oh, at least you've seen him now. He's bold as brass. He even comes out when Mojo's in the garden. That will be his downfall one day. Because Mojo can't hear him rustling around. But one day he'll walk in front of Mojo and that might be his end. There might be more than one, but there's one that's very bold. You know, it comes out in broad daylight. So anyway, yes, so it's got to be on for at least 4 hours and it's got to have a sealed unit. Now the bit that isn't sealed, this is sealed, that's fixed. This sliding door has got seals along there and there, but unfortunately, as I said, that is an electrical unit. It needs power. There is no power out here. The power gets out here via cables from in here. So this door doesn't shut, which means the fumes would get into the lounge. So basically I use parcel tape to actually seal that crack. So I get it going, start it up. There are no fumes until the liquid is formed and comes up to temperature. So I'm okay to be out here to make sure it's all working, make sure it's heating up, and then I can top up the level, make sure the level's right before it starts giving off the fumes. The fumes basically kill stuff that breathes. That's how it works. These were produced for commercial use. There are growing nurseries, bold as brass. They do run quick, don't they? Right, yes, so they were produced for commercial units, you know, places where masses of the same sort of plant are grown and they need to keep the bugs down. And they would run them at night and then they would air the place out the next day. That's the problem I've got, is obviously once I've sealed this door up, me and Mojo are trapped inside. I mean, okay, I can go out the front door, but Mojo can't. At best, I could carry him out the front door and through the side gate and then let him go in the garden. Which if it was a nice sunny afternoon I might well do. But he'd be stuck in and he would come back to that door to be let back in. And then I'd have to go round, get him and carry him back and hope he didn't wriggle free. So probably no, he'll just stay shut in. The reason I don't do it at night is that when it's done and I want to turn it off, the place is full of fumes. They are not to be breathed in. I mean, it wouldn't kill me or anything, but it wouldn't do me any good, let's put it that way. So I don't want to breathe in those fumes. So what I do is I go round the side of the house to this door, take a deep breath, open that door wide, yeah, unplug the unit to turn it off, switch this fan on full, and I've got another fan in there which will be out here ready to go. This one oscillates, so it stirs up the air in the whole place, and the other one will be fixed here by the door pointing straight at there. So it's going to push the air out of the door. And then once it's been running for a while, and there will have been some reasonable air exchange, I need to really air the place properly. And to do that, I have to open this door and bring the fan that's on the floor just inside this door. So it's now sucking air from the lounge and blowing it straight through here, wafted about by the circulating one and out of that door. Now, it does smell. I mean, anybody, if you strike a match, if anybody can remember matches, you know, the old-fashioned lighter, that smell is a sulphury type of smell. If any of you have ever been near active volcanoes or anything, that's the smell. It's like rotten eggs. It's not nice. And for a couple of days, there will be a whiff of that around the house, which I'm prepared to put up with, because this really, really does the job. I had scale in here bad until I got that unit. And after a couple of goes with that unit, they were virtually gone. Now, there are some that can get right down inside sheaths and things like that and possibly survive. But not much survives, and I've got some mealybugs out here now that I could do without. And therein lies another subject. The Phalaenopsis on the kitchen windowsill have got mealybugs. When you saw me spray them, I put them in my big black tray so that I could carry one of the shelves outside. I've got two of those black trays. I will get all the Phalaenopsis off the kitchen windowsill, bring them out here, put them on the bottom shelf there. So they'll get sorted as well at the same time. All of my plants will get done at the same time. So that's how it works, and that's the procedure I have to adopt. And I was going to do it today and sort of film it as I was doing it and everything, and you know, the filming could mess things up, you know, because it needs concentration. It's a sequence of events, you know, that needs concentration. It needs to be done properly or things could go wrong. So I will be doing it next week at the first opportunity. And the first opportunity may well be the first wet day we get, because if it's a wet day, I can sit back and think, well, Mojo wouldn't go out anyway today because it's raining. He would come and look out the door, look up at me, and turn round and come back in and say, blow that for a game of soldiers. Because even though he can't hear the rain, he can see it, obviously. So that's the unit. I got the idea from... well, it was an orchid channel, but it changed. I don't think the guy posts anymore, I'm not sure. It was something like tropical plants at so many degrees north or something the channel was called. And he had mites, all sorts of things going wrong with the plants. And some of the mites were so small you couldn't see them. And he read about this and tried it. And it worked, and his plants all perked up and everything. So I looked it up, I read up on it, the pros and the cons, all that, got all the information I could possibly gather, and I thought, I'm going to give that a go. So I got one. And as I said, it's an incredibly simplistic unit. There's no moving parts, so there's nothing to sort of wear out. The heater unit is thermostatically controlled. There's probably a chip in the plate down there that actually controls turning it off when it reaches the proper temperature. But you have to follow the instructions. You know, it says, you know, if the plate gets damaged, then it's not going to function properly, because this has to sit absolutely flat on that plate. If it doesn't make that complete contact, then it won't get up to the right temperature. You know, it's all these little things, you know, plus the air clearance above it and the ability to take in air underneath and draw it up through the unit. All that sort of thing has to be done properly. And we will give it a go next week, because the fact that it's a bit grubby doesn't stop it working, does it? So we'll give it a go. But as I said, the downside is that there's no actual power out here. If there was, then obviously I could shut that door up properly into the seals, and I wouldn't have to muck about with the parcel tape down the crack. But that has to be done, otherwise it would I'd get far too much fumes in the house, which I don't want. So yeah, and then we vent the place by coming in from the outside door, holding our breath, with everything ready to go. Turn the unit off, switch the fans on, and go back out, leaving the door wide open. And then that gets left like that for about an hour. And then after an hour or so, depending on what's going on, we actually open this door and start sucking some clean air out of the lounge out there. I dislike flies intensely. Nothing is that fast. Nothing. If they allow me to get 6 inches away, they die. Trouble is, they get in places where I can't get at them. Well, that one didn't. That made its last mistake. Right, some orchids. I discussed this briefly. We've got this one here with its lovely spike. Now, obviously, the latest blooms to open are the ones on the end here. And as you can see, when they first open, they are a lot more orangey than those that have been open quite a while, which have a distinct, lovely yellow colour. They're all like that. They all open that orangey colour, and then they fade to this yellow. So that's how it works. If you look at this one, this is quite orangey. Yeah? Now, this one over here, now that it's opening properly, I'm reasonably confident this is the same plant. Which means when I potted it, I took it out of the pot, and as is often the case with Oncidium intergenerics, there were 2 in the pot. And I potted them up separately, no tags. And this one has come into bloom now, I believe, proving that it's the same as that one. So I can update my notes and add a new line in there. And I will do tags for these 2 because they're in bloom, so that we don't lose them again. It'll just be Oncidium hybrid and a number. That's what I'm doing to identify them in my notes. That way I can keep track of, you know, when they come in bloom and things like that. And the other one I wanted to show you is another one with no tag. And it's a lovely odont type. You know I like these a lot. This is not a good spike. See, the first flower to open is quite good. You come round here. This flower, when it opens, has got a sepal missing on the right hand side there. It's deformed. Yeah? This one down here has also got a sepal missing. The top one. So it looks quite silly, really. So it's not behaving very well. But if I pick this plant up, it wobbles. It's got virtually no roots, despite having a plump bulb. So obviously once it's bloomed, or during its blooming, it should produce, start a new growth. And hopefully that one, because it's got some energy in the plant, it's got a big relatively plump bulb as a back bulb which has got leaves, and then the latest growth is fully leaved and is quite plump as well. There's enough energy there to produce a new growth and produce some roots, so we should get some roots on it. But yeah, pleased with that. But that's what it should look like. That's its normal form. But yes, it's odd that we got a couple of deformed ones, but that does happen. It's normally either genetic deficiencies or just not quite enough oomph in the plant to actually fully develop the buds into their true form. It's something along those lines. So there we go, and sometime next week we will get the hot box working, and obviously I won't be able to come out here for 6 or 7 hours, so I'll have to if I'm going to do any filming, I'll have to do it first thing. So the chances are I might actually set that up on Monday, because it's a day when I don't normally film the orchids anyway, so I wouldn't be missing out on anything. So we'll give that a go, and hopefully it does the job. And thanks for listening, but I wanted to explain this in full, because initially, you know, you're going to burn some sulfur and produce sulfur fumes, which are incredibly toxic. And I know last time I used it, lots of people got incredibly worried, gave me all this science and cobblers, which I didn't need, because that's not what happens. It brings it up to melting point, and the heat, like if you had hot water on a saucer, not quite boiling, just below boiling, because obviously if it boils then you're losing a lot in evaporation, but nearly boiling, it would give off fumes. Yeah, well, that's what this does. It gives off fumes, and you get this draw because of the heat coming out round the little pan, which flows up in a column, because this wall is higher than this wall, so it forms a column of air, drags the fumes up and disperses them nicely around your unit, and it keeps going. So gradually the fumes keep adding to the air, and eventually all of the air has got fumes. Yeah, then it gets all in leaf cracks, all over the media, in the gaps in the media. You've got bark, it's got air gaps, well, it'll get in there. It gets to everywhere. It'll deck any spiders that are hiding in here. It should easily do the mealybugs, and hopefully it should finish off the scale on the Cymbidiums. So I shall be up to that as soon as possible. And I can't believe I'd just forgotten I'd got it. I mean, the sprays are relatively expensive, and I mean, to spray the Cymbidiums I used 2 of those ready-made sprays, so that was an expense, whereas this I've already paid for, and it earned its keep last year. So this is like free, apart from the bit of electric it uses, which is very small. Yeah, and so far I haven't run out of sulfur, so I haven't got to try and scour the I mean, it does give you warnings on here. It says, when handling, use goggles giving complete protection to eyes, and do not ingest. Also avoid contact with naked lights, and do not smoke. Sweep up spilled substance and remove to safe place. Avoid contact with water course. The product is flammable. Extinguish preferably with water spray. Do not water jet. Obviously you push it all over the place. Combustion of this product causes toxic flames. If this occurs, keep upwind and seek medical treatment when anyone has symptoms, apparently due to the inhalation of the fumes. This product may explode if brought into contact with fire. So it's pretty dodgy stuff if not treated with care and caution, which is what I'll be doing. So we will give it a go on Monday. So thanks for listening, and when I come to use it on Monday, I'll probably end up doing a quick video of it when it's set up, not setting it up. And yeah, just remember that we've gone over this, and I've gone over all the safety features and everything that I'll be doing to keep me and Mojo safe. It got used many times last year, and we're both still here. Yeah? Bear that in mind when you start criticising and coming up with all your flipping science and everything. But yeah, it would be a hell of a lot easier if there was power out here and I didn't have to have the cables coming through the door. First time I set it up, it's quite amusing. I'd forgotten that. First time I set it up, I got it all like that, and I was actually stood here with a plug in my hand, and I sort of went, ah, Houston, we have a problem, because I knew I had to plug it in, and whether I plugged it in the extension lead out here or took the plug in through the door, the wire had to go through the door, therefore the door wouldn't shut. So we invented the tape the door shut bit, which is not a perfect seal, but it's good enough. There'll be a bit of a whiff in the lounge towards the end, and obviously once the door's open to vent this place, you know, and get all the fumes out, replace it with you know, much diluted air, shall we say. It won't be completely free, and then there'll be a bit of a whiff in the lounge for a few days. So when I was using it before, I had to go careful. When I used to get the house inspections, I used to have to make sure it was well clear by the time the lady came round to do the house inspection. I didn't want her thinking that, you know, I was cooking bad eggs or something. Yeah. Anyway, that's that, and I will see you next time. Tomorrow is, what is tomorrow? Saturday. I'm travelling a lot of tomorrow to get Hannah, so might not actually be a video tomorrow. And then Sunday Hannah's down, but I normally manage to do a shortish Sunday chat while she's down, so we should get something on Sunday, and then we'll go from there. Next weekend is the Orchid Society meeting, but that's Saturday afternoon, so that doesn't stop me filming on Saturday or Sunday, so we've got no sort of interruptions. So that's as far ahead as I think, basically, and even that's pushing it sometimes. Right, see you next time. Thanks for dropping by.